Hello, everyone. I'm Rob Rangel, and thank you for joining me on International Association of Woodcarvers, where I'll be presenting my wood carving journey. If you would like to purchase any of my roughouts, you can go to my website at robthewoodcarver.com. Find me on Rob the Woodcarver and social media as well. Thank you all.
All right, everybody. I think we're in good shape now. I want to thank you all for coming in today. This is the International Association of Woodcarvers. It is Saturday, September the 16th, a little bit after 3 p.m. And I just want to thank you all for coming in today on Saturday to join us. We got a special guest coming to us from Texas today. Mr. Robert Rangel is going to be coming on here in just a second. He's going to talk a little bit about his wood carving journey, some of his roughouts and designing wood carvings. He'll talk a little bit about classes and things like that. So it should be a good meeting today. Before we get started with all of that, I wanted to remind you all next Saturday, CCA Carving the Rockies. We're going to be out there live. So if anybody's in the area, try to make plans to be out there. I've talked about this, I think, all year. But we're going to be broadcasting live from out there. So if you're not able to make it, make sure you tune in here, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I think that's going to be 1 o'clock their time out there, but it'll still be 3 Eastern. We'll have our normal meeting. We'll broadcast live like we did last year. Hopefully we can convince Dave Stetson to go around and talk to some of the vendors and the presenters down there like we did before, and we're just going to have a good time. So again, if you're not able to make it, by all means, join us here. I'll be advertising that show the rest of this week. Getting ready for the trip out there. And again, we'll be on Saturday. After next Saturday, I talked to Rich Emling. He's in the United Kingdom, and he's going to be broadcasting on the 30th. He's going to be doing a demonstration on carving a witch. So make sure you tune in on the 30th for that. We've got a full schedule running through November. Some of the people you all recognize, Tom Wilkinson, who's a fantastic carver, will be October the 7th. I'll be down in the Sevierville, Tennessee show on October the 14th, be doing a demonstration down there, judging down there, and we're also going to broadcast live from there. So that'll be October 14th. Chucky Duck Shook, who I think's on today, is going to be with us on the 21st. Ashton Brown of Badger State Blades is going to be with us on the 28th of October. And then in November, on November the 4th, I'll be down in Alabama, and I'm hoping Dave's going to join me down there at the Mid-South Woodcarving Show. So we got a full schedule of meetings every Saturday. Just plan on marking off your calendar at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Come in and join us. We're providing wood carving content for the everyday wood carver, and hopefully, if you haven't seen some of our videos, that you go out and you look at YouTube and check those out. We've been doing this almost 4 years now. There's tons of content out there on YouTube. Just search International Association of Woodcarvers and you'll see that there. I want to remind you all that you can still go out and sign up for Woodcarving Academy. There's some past workshops that's been recorded that's out there available. It's a great way to learn. Again, that's woodcarvingacademy.com. There's some workshops that's going on now. I know Dave Stetson has one. He's on with us today. Janet Cordell has one. Dale Green has a class that's coming up on the 30th of September. It may not be too late to sign up. So if you're interested in carving a witch with Dale Green, it's Carving Witch Hazel. Reach out to him, get signed up for that. And again, that starts on the 30th. And then Dave Stetson will have another Santa class in October, on October the 21st. So if you're interested in that, you may want to reach out to Dave. Sometimes he waits until after a workshop is over before he signs up new people. I'm not sure. So reach out to him and get your name on that list. Again, today we're happy to have Rob Rangel in. He's Rob the Woodcarver. If you all are familiar with him on Facebook, he's going to come in and talk to us a little bit about his journey. We're happy to have him today. We apologize for the technical difficulties, but sometimes internet and Wi-Fi gets in the way, but I think we've got all that worked out. So Rob, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you. Look forward to hearing what you had to tell us. And thank you for sharing with us today.
Thanks, Blake. Again, happy to be on here. We'll get started with, a couple of the associations that I'm in, clubs and so forth. I'm the current president of the Alamo Area Woodcarvers out of San Antonio. And here in April 2024, we'll be celebrating 50 years as a wood carving club. So it's pretty exciting times for us as a wood carving club. We gather at a local library, and the only stipulation to us being able to sit there and carve is we put on 2 to 3 classes a year for the public. So we'll sit down and public come in, we'll teach them an ornament or what have you. Pretty smooth terms, for a club, and it helps keep costs down as far as the membership goes. After that, I'm the show chair. After that, I'm the show chairman for the Texas Woodcarvers Guild. We have a show coming up in February. In April, 13th and the 14th. And then the 15th through the 19th are going to be the classes. So you can start registering on Friday, bringing your competition pieces in and so forth. And there'll be, cash and prizes, which is always fun. Also a board member of the Rio Grande Valley Woodcarvers, where I live at now. Again, I used to live in San Antonio. I moved 4.5 hours south. So I live down by the border now. I still trek to San Antonio once a month. I've committed to being the president and holding the business meeting once a month. So at a minimum, I go up there, like I said, once a month and hold the meetings there. I've found the Rio Grande Valley Woodcarvers. They've been around for a good while as well. Larger club than what we have in San Antonio, but I was also asked to be one of their board members. And so now I serve on the board with them as well. A lot of people refer to me as the guy that can't say no. So whether that's true or not, I'm not sure. But nonetheless, I believe in wood carving. I love wood carving. I got my start back in 2010 when I was looking for a hobby. Right off the bat, I ran out to my nearest woodcraft, and I bought me a toolkit, some knives. Didn't know any better on the woods to use. I've got a smoker, in Texas, brisket's big. So weekends I'm smoking brisket or, pulled pork, what have you. I had mesquite on hand. I tried carving mesquite, didn't know much about, thumb guard and so forth. Nonetheless, long story short, I found the club there. I went out, talked to Bob Tilton. He was our president at the time. And when he asked me, hey, what are you carving on? I told him mesquite. He started laughing. He's like, no, because you're doing it all wrong. So he asked me, he goes, hey, what do you want to carve? I said, I've been looking at wood spirits is really what I wanted to do, or the first thing that caught my eye. So he pulls out a little, 1 by 6 inch stick, and like in 10 minutes, he puts a face on it. And I was hooked. I was like, heck yeah, that's what I want to do. From that point forward, I was carving, every afternoon I get out of work, I was in my garage carving till midnight, get up in the morning, go to work the next day and repeat. Probably doing 20, 30 hours a week, wood carving. So after, wood carving for a bit, Bob's pushing me to go into competitions and stuff. And, I was nervous. I was, I'd never been in a competition and I guess I was probably more afraid of being ridiculed. But he says, no, you know what? He goes, believe me, you're good enough. He goes, get in there and just compete. You'll like it. So I went out there. I competed, and I'll have to get a little off camera here, guys. I apologize. I wasn't going to do this in the shop. My services out there was bad, so I had to rush into the house and try to bring everything in and present it from here. But let me grab my first entry in competition. So the first thing I entered was this flounder that I carved out of mahogany. And, I'm one of those guys. I went out there, I put a bunch of Mod Podge on a baseboard, and I stuck some shell, sand and stuff that I picked up at the coast when I was out fishing, which, I do quite often. But nonetheless, this was my first entry. This got me best of novice right off the bat. So believe it or not, I mean, that was definitely a confidence booster for me. So from that point forward, I was like, okay, I can do this. Next year, I carved a moose, and I took best of intermediate. So, in a 2-year span, they bumped me into competing with all the big guys, which was a lot more difficult than I thought. But nonetheless, it's been a lot of fun. My first class, I remember, it was a gentleman by the name of Hoyt Hutchinson. I believe he lives like up in North Dallas now. But the first class I took was this pronghorn antelope, and I was the first guy that didn't break the horns off while we were carving it. And then I went on ahead and I used, the base that it came on. It's just, again, it's a rough out, so it's a square piece of wood. I got the idea, I'll put a little, like he's walking through there, carve a stone out there. And my grass was a lot taller, but with the years of moving it around, it kind of broke off. It doesn't look too bad there. It looks like it's, shrubs that have been eaten. But it was another one of those things that, I used what I had, and it worked. Hoyt was pretty impressed, which, made me even happier, because he's like, hey, I never thought of, using that base to, to create a scene and the walkway and so forth. Nonetheless, this was the first class I ever took. The other one was George Vaughn is another guy. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with him. He does like Creed, Colorado, I believe. He's been, with the Texas Woodcarvers Guild for as long as I've been going to that show. He also sells tools and stuff at the Rio Grande Valley show. With him, we went into doing fish, and we carved this bass. Now, I didn't do the paint job. He was doing the airbrushing at the time, but I did do the carving. What I liked about his was everything I had seen about carving fish was they'd carve the head separate, then attach it. George went out there and says, hey, you know what? We're going to carve it all in one shot. So, we had to go out, carve under the gills, and make that hole all the way through the mouth to be able to, to get it going. So real happy with that class and him as an instructor. I thought it'd be cool to do, what do you call this darn thing? I'm blanking out. Marble base. So it was, I wanted it to look like marble. And again, you go out there and you look at videos and you can see they make those faux marble bases. So I did that out of just a pine, a pine base. It went pretty well with the judges. So animals were, real big for me in the beginning. Bob Tilton, told me, look, one day you'll settle on what you want to carve. He goes, people start and they jump around. They start with animals, maybe, mess around with birds for a little bit, and then settle on carving caricatures. Well, I'm here to tell you, I haven't settled on anything yet. I love to carve just about any subject that's out there. So we went, Leah, let me give a plug to Leah Goddard as well. I'm not sure if she's teaching anymore, but she was awesome. Just the texture that, how she showed you how to put it in there. And then the paint, I had never painted the way, Leah painted. So again, it's just one of those things that, if you're not a chip carver, take a chip carving class though, because you can use what you've learned in those classes and apply them to other wood carvings. So, wood burning, I use it in other things as well. Carving feathers or, burning feathers, all that good stuff. It all helps you as a carver in the end. So I don't, I'm not going to be a chip carver for sure. My wife loves doing that stuff, but I don't. But, I do like knowing it. And again, with me as a club president, I like to go out there and hit different subjects, because when I have a member come in and they ask me, hey, how do I do this on a bird or what have you, I've got an answer for them. And it might not be, that I'm going to teach them how to carve a full realistic bird, but I can get them going in that direction and point, give them some good pointers, point them to instructors and so forth. But I know a little bit about the subject, so I try to do that for that reason. I went from animals, did fish, and then I went to caricature. So I sat, with Dave Stetson. Rich Weatherby was my last instructor that I sat with this past year. And Rich as an instructor is awesome, because he's doing, caricatures, he's doing cottonwood bark, and he's doing clay, so you sit in there and it's what you want to do. And the guy, again, he knows about those subjects. So with Rich, I had, I've been thinking about, hey, I envisioned this, Santa just like falling out of a chimney, legs all rolled up behind him. So I sat with Rich and I told him, hey, I want to, this is kind of what I've been thinking. He looks at me, he's like, what made you think of that? I said, I'm not sure, but it's something that's been in my mind for, a couple of years, and I'd like to carve it at some point. So again, he sat me down, he went out there and pulled out his aluminum wire, started bending it, and I started putting on the detail and stuff like that. And this is what we came up with. I'll jump into the patterns and stuff like that once I get a little bit further. But again, there's just one of those things that you can learn a lot from different instructors and apply it to every carving that you do. Let's see here. Inspiration. I hear, or read sometimes also on Facebook, you got carvers that say, hey, give me some ideas. I've kind of run out of, things to carve. I'm not sure what to carve. And I find, inspiration just in, everyday life, walking around, what is it you like? Like me, birds, they're probably my favorite creature in, the whole world. I love birds. Heck, I've got a book that my mom bought me, I think when I was maybe 11, 12 years old, North American Birds. I still leaf through it every now and then just because I love birds. When I sit in the shop, I've got bird feeders outside, hummingbird feeders. I'm sitting there carving and I'm enjoying everything that comes around. Speaking of that, we've got the fall migration that's starting to kick up, which is going to be real fun for me again. So again, that stuff, gives me inspiration. TV, look, Westerns, the Rifleman. I still like to go out there and watch that stuff. Just, when you're doing a Western scene, you look at the buildings that they've got out there, and you can put that into your works. Pinterest, another one. I've got a board I created called Carving Inspiration. When I'm looking around, things come up and I see something, what? I'd like to carve that at some point. I go out there and I save it. I've got so many pins in there and I'll never carve all of them. But, again, it's just something I can go back in there and look and just, scroll down a little bit and say, all right, boom, there's one. If you're traveling, you're sitting around the airport, you see people, there's a lot of people out there that have interesting features, that you want to go out there and carve. That being said, it was, I did not bring, oh yeah, I did. There's a lot of people wearing beards now, and they straighten it out, so it's got a different look than your regular, wavy beard. And that's kind of what, inspired me to carve this guy and do the beard on him. It's not wavy, it's more straight, but it's got like, just little wiggles in there basically. So it's those things that you can go out there and, get inspiration on. Walking around nature, there's animals out over there. Another one I love is thrift store figures. I've been in thrift stores and there's two little figures that I found in there that I've been wanting to carve, and maybe not, to a T, but as inspiration. Use these guys, to go out there and create my own figures. One that I have done that I was pretty pleased with was, I found this guy. He's a, little, Father Santa or Santa Claus. And when I saw the stars and stripes, I was like, you know what? A patriotic Santa would be pretty cool. So I came out and I carved this guy. Yeah, he's holding a pistol, but that's kind of, I thought he was cool. Anyways, it was in my mind. I had to pull it, I had to put it on wood. So, it's not exactly like it, but I got the inspiration from the stars and the stripes to carve my own. So again, those are things you can go out there and just kind of do, things to find and find inspiration on. Does anybody have any questions, for me? I'd be happy to answer anything.
Hey, Rob, one question, and I'm not sure you covered it. You have some roughouts. Do you want to talk a little bit about that now?
Yeah. Going back to Rich. We went out, like I said, did this, and I wanted to, again, ultimately create a rough out. So that's really what I started with. I put them on there. I traced the outline. I cut them out of a block of wood, and off he was. So sent him out. Come out with this guy. And then, rough out. So I've got some Santa rough outs. This is one of them, like I said. This is a naughty nice Santa. So he's basically holding the list. And like on this list here, what I do, you go to the hobby store, whatever, go to where they sell all the books. Not the books, the model cars, and they've got the little paper. I forgot what you call it, but you can print these out. You dip them in water. All of us that built model cars growing up, we know what those decals are. But you dip them in water, then you can just stick it on there. So that's kind of what I did. I put my kids' names on this one, but so you got that guy. You can do whatever you want with his hand. What I like about these roughouts as well, this is basically this guy just modified his hands. Okay, and you can carve that, a little jingle bell on the back that I did. I used to carve just a little pom-pom thingy, but I thought a little jingle bell in there would be cool. So again, these roughouts are available on my website. You can go to robthewoodcarver.com. They're there. I do have a few that are on Etsy, just because I was having a little issue with the website, so I moved a couple over to Etsy. In the meantime, I've got to swap them back. So if you just go to my regular website, you can find them there. That being said, we've got this guy as well, which is the Bigfoot, Sasquatch. You can carve him as a Yeti. This guy carved, I had, a piece of pine branch out in the back, and it had this sap coming out of it. So I just, I liked it for a base. I cut a piece off of it, and that's what I stuck him on. So again, what I'll do is when you order these, I take it to the bandsaw, and I'll go ahead and I'll split these before I mail them out. With roughouts, you can do, some modifications. This is the first actually Santa roughout that I ever did, and he was just a bald, Santa. So this guy you can carve just, like I said, any way you want. I took that little knot right there, to leave that little Cupid on there for him. I cut his legs off and I stuck him in the chimney, so that's, you can modify not just this rough out, but just about any other rough out. That's what I like to do a lot, most of the time. Hands, I wasn't wanting to have him, just kind of hugging his belly on this one. But it's the same rough out. I just, dialed it down more on his pants, took the boots off, and now he's got his feet showing. He'll be in underwear by the time he's done, painted and stuff like that. So he's a half-dressed Santa, just, getting ready to hit the road. Same rough out. Did a biker Santa. I just, cut off his sleeve, put some arms, exposed his arms there, gave him a mom tattoo, took a cherry base, did some wood burning on it. You can see that I just wood burned the floorboards there. So that being said, those are my rough outs, like I said, and staying on rough outs and modifying them. This is Chris Hammock, Gordito. I don't know if you guys have seen this one or not, but again, Southwest, put a cactus on there, Gila monster right there, and now he's different than anybody else's carving. Got that one. Patterns as well. Dave Stetson's little horse came out in Woodcarving Illustrated, years ago. When I saw it, I was like, man, I want to carve that horse. It's pretty cool. But again, what can I add to it to make it a little different? Well, you do a little desert scene. Got a rattlesnake right there. Cactus, with the prickly pear fruit on there, and pretty neat. When I first started carving, I wouldn't put anything on the base. It was just the base, and it was set, straight down on the tabletop. I started putting these little felt, pads on there, just so it doesn't scratch. And more so if you sell a carving, I think the customer likes to see that you went the extra mile for them and put that on there. All right, carving instruction as well. I go out there. I'm reading books. Videos are awesome. I've got a subscription for over a year now to Woodcarving Academy. Classes, online or in person, are another great option. Magazine subscriptions, Chip Chats, Woodcarving Illustrated. Those are all great sources of knowledge there. On the carving side, going back to that, I told Blake I'd cover, how I kind of lay out my patterns, and I've got just different methods, and we'll kind of go over some of those. Like I said, I had to move over here, and I probably left some of my stuff out in the shop that I needed. So I'll have to work with what I have, I guess. Let me move this over.
And Rob, just tell us when you want to switch cameras, and we can just switch over to the other one.
All righty. Let me try to get this thing out here real quick. All right, you can go overhead if you want. Okay. Now, this little light, it's a pad now. They used to sell light boxes, but with LED technology and what have you. These are probably one of my favorites. I'll start to draw just, on a regular sketch pad. So it's going to have all the eraser marks, all that good stuff on there. When I want to go out there and make a pattern out of it, I'll turn this bad bugger on. And let's see. Yeah. Let me. Let's just say that's, my pattern. It's got eraser marks, what have you. And I want a clean pattern. I just put a piece of paper over it, you've got your pattern go all the way through. You can get a marker, come back and clean it up. My son gets after me. He's like, they got programs you can do all this on your computer now and stuff. But I like the drawing, on paper piece of it for some reason or other. It reminds me of 7th grade art class, I guess. But that's kind of what I'll do. I'll come back in here and clean it up. So you'll have your pattern at the end. So it's for instance, with the witch, if I'm going to do a lot of them or a few, what have you, kind of like this lady here. I'm going to turn this on. Like Miss Santa right here. I've got I came up with an idea. Again, I do sell carvings. I do custom, commission work and what have you, restorations and whatnot. But I thought it'd be cool. Some people like to either carve or they like crafts, but they don't know how to carve and would like to paint a carving. So I thought it'd be a neat idea just to offer up. Hey, you know what? I'll carve it. You can buy it unpainted, and you can go ahead and do the rest. Try your hand at carving, or I'm sorry, at painting. So it went over pretty well. I've had a few orders, and I've still got I think 50 of these to do. And again, they're all unpainted. They'll go to the person that ordered them, and he'll finish them up. And the gentleman that actually ordered all of these, he's a bird carver. He does, awesome work. He showed me an owl he carved. It's amazing stuff. He's just not a caricature carver, but he wanted ornaments and he wanted to paint them. So he's got a big old order of these going. So what I do, again, if I'm going to have a whole bunch of these, I'll cut on cardstock, the pattern, and I'm using, half of it. This is a 2x2 inch block here, cut across the middle. Again, these I do, on my bandsaw. I did the simple jig, and I think, Wood Carving Illustrator might have had how to do this or what have you at some point. And it's just, take it to your table saw, cut that, put a line here, drop that in and just slide that through your bandsaw. And you've got your corner stock. So on this one, I've got the pattern on here. I'll drop it on the back and then trace it. And if I've got an order of 10, I'm tracing 10 of these. Then I come in, and I carve all that off to come up with this to start with. Okay. So that's the back side of it. I've got my basic shape in there with the edges here, and you can see right here, it's the edge of the hat band up on the top. So when I transfer this to the front, I know where my hat band is up over here. And for me, it's just, pretty easy to start carving there. If I wanted to put some marks on there, I fold my pattern and just stick it on there. And I know where to come in with the eyes, the nose, mouth, and so forth. And that's really just the way I'll take off. I'll put a little mark there, the eyes, so that's the top of the hat, and then just come in with a soft V and start knocking that down. Nose, same thing. Just come in there and start doing that number. If we had a lot more time, I'd do the whole demonstration, but just kind of want to tell you all how I put a pattern together, really, and then just kind of make it come in and do I guess production work really is what it is when you're going out there and you're carving 10, 15, 20 of them. I've had orders for ornaments up into 30. So you want to try to get in there and try to get them done as fast as you can. And to me, this has probably been, the fastest, short of having a rough out and going from there. Got that one. So then you got that bad girl. The other part with, with your pattern is, you can shrink it, you can enlarge it. So whatever size block you want to use, here's the same pattern, just, dialed down a little. So again, you can do whatever size you want out of these. These are real cool. And I didn't bring my micro gouge, but I was having a conversation with another carver the other day, and he mentioned how he thought the 1x1 was just real hard to carve on. But then what I like about the smaller ones, it's that the eyes, you don't have to have a whole lot of detail or carved detail onto the eyes to make them look decent. This one I took, and I want to say it was my 5mm micro gouge, and I push it in there, and that gives me my eyeball already. So you go in there and you undercut to the stop cut there, and you've got an eyeball in no time. So these small ones, to me, I think are pretty cool, and they're a lot of fun. And then there was another gentleman asking about painting as well. And I used to, there's a lot of lighting in here. Oops. I used to use boiled linseed oil as, I was taught, when I first started painting. And, it does. Everybody says, hey, it yellows over time. And I've noticed that it does. And, maybe I'm applying it wrong or what have you. But nonetheless, I stopped using any type of sealer before I paint. If the painting isn't dirty, I go straight to paint with watered down acrylics right off the bat. What I do, I start off with a light brush. I don't load it a whole lot, and I do start from the middle part. So if you've got your hat band right out over here, you don't want to start off with your brush in this end, because you're going to risk bleeding over. Now you could wood burn and all that good stuff, and if you want to do that, that's fine. I don't. I go straight to painting. So I'll start up in the center, and then as soon as my brush starts unloading in here, I start working towards the edges where I'm going to meet, where colors are going to meet. That way I just reduce, I reduce the risk of bleed over on there. And I can probably, I brought some brushes over because I was going to demonstrate to you guys. And like I said, I had to move from the shop out over here last minute. So I didn't bring everything I needed to bring, but I use all kinds of trays depending what I'm going to paint. If I've got something I need to mix up a whole bunch of color, and I want to do it one time, I come in and I'll do 1 drop of acrylic to 10 drops of water. Basically, is what I use. Some folks go out over there. My wife is a prime example. She'll put the drop of paint and then water and kind of dip into both and get her colored, what have you. I'm a guy that I want to paint and get it done pretty quick, so I don't have that kind of patience really. But I'll start off, like I said, in the center. As soon as you see your paint starting to lighten up, then you can go ahead and bring it in to where your colors are going to meet. And I don't have a paper towel on here to dab some of this off with, but I'll go with what I got. And again, folks, if y'all have any questions, feel free, ask away.
And the majority of the time I'm using just a round brush for just about everything.
Hey, Rob, in your painting process, do you do any kind of antiquing at all or wood burning?
You know, I've talked to the master of antiquing, Chris Hammock, and he explained it to me and stuff, and I've done it. And, on his carving, I did it. But lately I stopped doing that. I kind of like, I kind of like my carvings to look bright, and for some it works, for some it don't. It's just kind of, my liking. So I don't antique. I'll shade some, but that's really it. Where you can see, Chris, and here I tried it on his rough out, and it works. Again, it depends if that's the look you're going for. Definitely. And I'm not saying I won't come back and do it on on some other carvings at some point. It's just right now I'm kind of liking the brighter look at things. So again, you can see here, I don't have any bleeding, and it's just because my brush is just about empty, and I just I start working it in there, like that. Any other questions or any questions, guys?
There's nothing in the chat right now. We talked before. Do you have any classes lined up, any way that people can reach out to you and maybe come and take a class from you?
Yes, I will start teaching. It'll be my first time going out and teaching, and I'll be at the Rio Grande Valley Woodcarvers Show. We're doing a little caricature fox. I have been getting some requests for roughouts on this girl, so we might throw those in there. I'll have again roughouts available. Roughouts, I know it's the shipping. The shipping cost is a little tough sometimes. So when you're at a show, that's probably your best bet, to go out and pick up roughouts while you're out there. But yeah, that's really going to be the only thing I've got lined up as far as teaching goes there, Blake.
Did you say what? Oh, I'm sorry.
No, you go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. Did he say what his website was? I was just trying to Google around and trying to find it, and I wasn't successful.
Yes, Rob the Woodcarver, ROB.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
We had another question online or in the chat. How do you finish or seal your carving after you paint it?
Just a regular satin finish, it's a Krylon spray or a semi-gloss. Satin's usually what I'll use. I don't like it to be, real shiny either.
Do you use any kind of feed and wax or anything after the spray?
Nothing like that, Blake. I'm just hitting it with just a sealer and calling it good.
Okay. And then another question we had, somebody asked if you thought about using glass to mix your paint on instead of using the ice trays.
No, I use just whatever I feel like I need at the time. I mean, I've got the regular little, paint trays that are out there. For the most part, it depends on what I'm going to carve. But yeah,
right.
No, I mean, suggestions are always welcome. I mean, hints and what have you that'll improve my stuff. I'll always accept for sure. So again, that's just kind of the way I'm painting. Like I said, I just make sure that if I'm going to go and paint around, where two colors are going to meet, I've got a real light brush by that point, by that time, so I don't get that bleed over. That's really really it. Let's see here. Golf balls are another thing I like. I like carving. So these guys are just, my Halloween crew. Got, Dracula carved out over there. Of course, I needed Frankenstein, and then did some little golf tees for the little nodes on the side. And then I found a golf ball that had Flying Lady on it. So I was like, well, what better than a witch, So I make sure that when I cut, the golf ball and take the hard cover off or the shell, that I leave that, the name on there, like, Spalding and so forth. And the way I do that is I created or just, carved out, took a little basswood block, hollowed out enough to where it's about halfway of my, my golf ball. So when I set it on there, I make sure that I leave, that name hanging up there like that. I'll take a Sharpie and just go all the way around it, put a mark on it. And then I'll take a pair of PVC cutters and then just, hit that mark until you get all the way around. Once I've got it all cut off, you want to take like a flat screwdriver, and just when you're prying though, make sure that you got it, around here. So when, if you do go out and you wiggle and it kind of slips out, you don't have it in the palm of your hand and you don't jab yourself. So again, just making sure that you have that name on there. So when you pull this bottom piece to make your stand, you've got the name of, your golf ball on there, if you wish to do that. Laying out patterns, Christmas whistles are another thing that I've, really liked doing. I did a few of these the past couple of years. I've had some folks ask me for the pattern, and I've, gladly emailed it to them. But this was one of those things, unlike the witch, that, if I stuck this on the front side, I mean, it's not gonna add up. Okay, I'm gonna be, short on this side. So if I wanted to do a pattern that I was gonna glue on here, I'd have to go out and, do all four or both sides. Like I did with this guy. Let me put my pencil. I would do something like that. So on this, I'd have to, draw out my pattern to make sure that when I glued it onto the wood, it's gonna cover all these edges, kind of like I did with this Santa whistle. Okay, so the Santa whistle, you got this side, and this guy, what I wanted to do, I wanted to make sure that the pattern was symmetrical. So I did half of it and then, just flipped it over and make sure that the other side was exactly the same. So it's all, uniform there, unlike the witch where, she's got a tilt and so forth on that hat. So, you glue it up on all four sides, and again, just regular rubber cement, well ventilated area for sure, because that stuff will get you. And then just glue it on there. I do a 3/8 inch hole on there, and I do a shallow hole, and then the reed, it's a 3/8 dowel. I take off about a third, shave a third of it off and put it in there. All right, and the reason I left this to the back, what I do is once I carve the little pom-pom area or whatever you're going to do with that, a little jingle bell or what have, you put your little cord through there. And when you hang it on your neck, it's, it shows up like this. So if I was wearing it on my neck, it'd be like that. And from the front side, all you see is a Santa Claus. But to blow on it, you'd flip it up this way, blow into it, and now you got your whistle. But it looks like, it's an ornament, turned right into a whistle, and that's kind of what I thought of when I carved this guy out. Carving in corners, again, a lot of fun, real easy to get up and do. I've got, this is a 1x1 stock. This guy started on a 2x2 stock, and just an elf, with his feet crossed over. Feet, if you're going to cross them over, to me, I always try to get that heart shape. That, brings your feet up over on the front side, crossed over. So that's one on corner stock. Here's another little guy that I carved, little mountain man. Same thing. I mean, I'm sitting around the shop sometimes and just thinking I've been wanting to carve a mountain man forever. Never thought I'd carve one this small. I like him so much. I went out there and I carved another little guy, this time with a coonskin cap versus the fox, bear claws, that kind of stuff. So basswood, is probably the wood I carve on the most, but my second favorite, well, I'd have to go out there, and I think cottonwood bark, is a lot of fun, but aspen is just as much, if not more. I think I like aspen right after basswood. So again, you get an aspen stick, cut it to whatever length you want, and just start carving on it. It's already rounded. You don't have to do that. So I carved this little bandito walking stick topper, out of aspen. The wife and I went on a 14-day road trip to a lot of our national parks here in July, and I took this guy. What I call these guys are designer walking stick toppers, because I got one walking stick and I've got a dowel screw on there. And if this guy's the one that I want to show off that day, I go out there, I screw him on the top of my walking stick and take him out for a walk. Come back, if I feel like putting a bear on the next day, I drop this guy on there. I told you guys about bird carving. I'm definitely not a bird carver by any stretch of the imagination. These guys are in my backyard all the time. They're green jays. It's more of a caricature type, bird, but same thing. He's one that's in the arsenal of walking stick toppers that I keep and take around when we go out for walks. A lot of guys you hear say, "Hey, I messed this up. I'm gonna, it's gonna be firewood. I'm gonna throw it away or what have you." I had that with this guy. I was sitting around, had a little 1x1, and I was going to show my wife how to, carve a face that, or with his head, turned. Well, in talking so much and trying to impress her, I wound up putting his head on backwards behind his shoulder. And it was one of those things that I was saying, "Hey, you know what? That guy's got to go." And she's like, No, you're not going to throw him. Finish him. So I finished carving him, got that little jack-o'-lantern, candy canister there, and, painted him up. And I like him. He's definitely looks a little odd, but, he's still cool for me. I like the way it turned out overall. Looking at chainsaw carvers, going back to inspiration, these chainsaw carvers do some amazing stuff out over there. And, I don't think I've got the, well, I don't know if I want to strain myself holding a chainsaw for a couple hours or what have you, but yeah, I saw a guy, carving these eagles that are flying and what have you. So that, that gave me the idea of, hey, just get a piece of I think this was 1.5 when I started, basswood, and do a chainsaw style wood carving. So I got this little eagle, laid him out, and he's pretty thin, you can see, but again, just one of those things that when you're sitting around thinking of what can I carve, it's not always, hey, what has somebody else done lately. I mean, I'm going there and just think out of the box a little. Patterns, also going back to patterns. Ryan Olson, put out a real cool, I mean, I think the pattern's pretty darn simple, but out of that pattern, I pulled these two guys out. This is kind of more of maybe what he taught. But then I got the pattern out and I did this guy. And initially I was trying to carve I want to say it was a lady, and I wanted her to have a double chin, and it just, it wasn't looking like the lady that I wanted it to look like. So he came out of there, and you go out there, you put some paint on him, and I mean, I definitely like the way this guy turned out. He's probably one of my favorites, and will probably stay in my collection until my kids decide to give him away after I'm gone. But those are other things you can do. Little things that I've done as well, commemorating some of our we had 2 pets that have passed. One, they're both Chihuahuas, but one, Emily, she was a tiny little thing, but I wanted to carve something with her, and she never even barked, but in here I made her to be bigger than life. I don't know if you can read that because it looks like it's getting a lot of glare from my overhead light, but it says, never mind the owner, beware of the dog. So I got a guy there, no big deal. He's got a pistol, but don't worry about him. It's that little dog's the one that's going to get you. But I thought, these are also cool to do. This other guy was to commemorate our other little pup, Loki. And I just put, I thought a grumpy guy, Loki, go out there and get you up in the middle of the night to go potty. So you had to get up, open the door for him. And here the pup's, he's woken him up, gone outside, but he's not doing anything. So, this guy's all mad and grumpy because it was midnight and he woke him up. One of the, Halloween is always popular. And again, this guy carved on a corner. I didn't give him the widow's peak, and some folks called me out on it, but I was like, I don't know. I mean, I kind of like him the way he is. But again, simple stuff. If you're traveling me at my old job, I was on the road most of the time. So I just packed some sticks, take my glove, and outside the hotel, I'd sit around just carve until it was time to get inside and get ready for the next day. So I was Dracula, adding on, taking a block of wood, which I did with this guy. The horns, I added them in there. The tail, I added them in there. So I got me a little chubby trick-or-treater. Added the bag there. So again, it's just, you can do and add whatever you want to your carvings. The only thing I'd suggest, if you're going to competition, just make sure what's allowed. If it's a bird, or let's just say, I seen a Kachina doll come in one time, but it was just like covered in fur. So it got past me and the judges. But if you're going to a carving competition, carve as much as you can. That Kachina, should have had fur carved on it, versus something, wrapping rabbit hair on it. These guys were probably, these were the first, I guess, Halloween caricatures that I carved, and it was all 1x1, sticks. Sort of a Dracula. Again, there's not a whole lot of body to it. I was a new carver as well, but I knew, what I wanted, so I gave it a shot. What I called this was my unusual suspects. Okay, so I wanted initially, to put a background on here with 1 foot, 2 foot, 3 foot, whatever it is, when you're out there in the lineup, and call it, again, the unusual suspects. I laid them out. I had a neighbor come over and says, "Hey, you know what? You're missing the invisible man." So I went out there and said, "You know what? That's pretty cool." So all I did was carve a couple little indentions for the shoes there, and then put his name out in the front, and that gets a lot of gets some kicks from people. They giggle at that one. But again, real simple stuff. Sticks that 1x1 you can just take with you on the road and carve as you go. Any other questions, guys?
Hey, Rob, you mentioned earlier that you had an Etsy store. Can people go out there and buy your carvings, or do they need to reach out to you if there's something that they're interested in?
Yeah, if I've got anything for sale, usually my original art, I'll put it out on Etsy, and I'm doing the roughouts on the website just to not mix it up a whole lot. I tend to have a better audience for finished carvings on Etsy at this point. Again, my website isn't that old. I launched it a little bit ago. So yeah, they can go out there and do that. Again, if somebody's looking for a custom job, they can also reach out to me. I'll do those throughout the year. And again, it will take me 3 months or something like that to finish one, depending on what I got going on. Sometimes I've got a list or a waiting list. Sometimes I don't. So it depends on depends what I got going on. But yeah, you can do that. You can go in there, buy roughouts, going into, buying and selling things like that. When, I don't know, 10 years ago, I guess, 7, 8 years ago, I started thinking, well, wood carving would be something pretty cool to kind of back up on when I retire and just, make some little extra cash there. Yeah, do that. I mean, do it, early. Don't wait till you're retired if you want to try to build, a little residual type income. Digital patterns. I've got a couple digital patterns out there. It's one of those things I've been thinking of that. Hey, you don't have to carve your life away. You don't have to sit there all day long with a knife, just grinding on wood. If you got a pattern, people come in. They download the pattern from you. You make a couple bucks on it. It's just, you start building up. Roughouts, same thing. Like I said, roughouts, depending the size and the complexity of the roughout, will pretty much determine the price. The Santa roughouts that I have, the simple ones that are, they're just, chuckling. Those guys are, they're a lot cheaper than this last one. That drunk Santa, I don't know if I'll make roughouts of that one again, just because. To me, I mean, I don't mind the price, but by the time you put, that out there with shipping and stuff, I ain't gonna lie to you, that Santa's at $38, but that's kind of where I had to be on that one. And that's why I try to keep them simple to where, folks aren't too strapped when they're out there, buying them from you. That little fox roughout that I got right now, that it's a great, beginners roughout. Group carving roughout. If you got a club that wants to go out there and carve something as a group, it's a simple project to do, and it's pretty affordable. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with the roughouts and selling. So between doing all those things, creating roughouts for sale, getting some digital patterns available, teaching classes, then, you know, it starts to add up and you can start to, you know, to pay some bills with it. Other than that, you know, it's tough.
Sorry, a couple other questions in the chat here. Somebody wants to know if you have drawing experience, or did you have drawing experience before you started carving?
You know, I was an advanced art in school. You know, did some painting in there, you know, did some oil painting, clay work, stuff like that. But I've always been, you know, just kind of creative, you know, kid. As a kid growing up on my granddad's ranch, you know, when we got rainstorms out over there, I mean, I walk over to the, you know, to the cotton field and just grab some clay and start making animals and stuff out of that, you know. So I was just always trying to create things. You know, we lived down this Caliche Road. When they come out and drop some road base out over there, you know, there's some soft pieces of it. I'd grab that and I'd carve faces into that stuff with a stick and what have you. So it was just something that I've always, you know, kind of been into. Just you know, and anything that's got to do with art, I just, you know, I love the heck out of it.
And then one other question we had somebody ask: are the roughouts just available on Etsy, or are they on your website as well?
The original roughouts, when I first opened the website, are on the website. When it started glitching a bit, that Drunk Santa and the Fox are on Etsy. You know, here in the next couple of weeks, I'll move all the roughouts over to the website. Okay. Yeah, and again, I mean, you all, you know, anybody that wants to reach out to me, you know, can reach out through, you know, through Messenger. My phone number's on the website. You know, you guys can call. If you buy a roughout and you got questions, give me a holler. I'm always available to answer questions, walk you through, you know, anything you might be stuck on if if you're having you know, an issue with figuring out how to carve something on any of those roughouts, or just in general. I've got, you know, folks reaching out to me just, hey, you know what, I'm doing a relief carving, you know, how do I do this and that? And you know, I'm going to help you the best I can. I'm not, you know, my knowledge isn't going with me when I die. You know, I'm leaving it behind. I'm giving it away. Anybody that has a question, I'm extremely happy to help y'all. And then
one other thing, the digital downloads you talked about, are those also on Etsy, or is there something?
Those are on Etsy. Yeah, okay. Those are on Etsy.
Got you. Okay. Any other questions from the audience? Do we have anybody that wants to unmute and have any questions for Rob? All right, Rob. Well, we appreciate you coming in. You're one of those guys that's helping grow the community, and we appreciate you sharing. I like what you said there at the end about you're not going to be able to take the knowledge with you, so go ahead and share it now. That's what this is all about. That's what we try to do. We try to get the information out there so that one, people will pick up a knife and actually try it, and you know, two, maybe they'll stick with it and share with other people as well. So appreciate you taking time out. All of the stuff that he's talked about today, we'll link out in the YouTube video when we post it out there. Just want to remind you all, this week coming up, it's the Colorado Springs show. Dave Levy and I will both be traveling out there, so we'll be live from the show next Saturday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll try to cover everything that's going on. They're going to have some cool stuff. They've got a new book that they're releasing. They're going to be doing a bird caricature competition. There's an ugly cowboy competition. There's a lot of stuff that's going to be happening. If you get a chance to make it, come by and say hello. International Association of Woodcarvers will have a table set up along with Woodcarving Academy. You'll probably find myself, Dave Levy, Dave Stetson. I think Dave Stetson's got some stuff he's going to be giving away. Not going to give out what he's going to have, but it may interest you all to come by and say hello to Dave if you get a chance while we're there. So make sure you try to do that. Thank you all for tuning in to the International Association of Woodcarvers. We'll do this every Saturday. Again, we have a schedule lined up right now through the first week of November. We'll be working while we're out there in Colorado, trying to get some other people lined up for the end of the year. So thank you all for joining us. Check out our videos on YouTube. They're all out there. And we'll see you all next Saturday live from Colorado Springs. We'll see you then. Thank you all.
I'm gonna start recording, and whenever you want to go, we can do as many takes as you want. It's no big deal.
All righty. Hello, everyone. I'm Rob Rangel, and today I'll be presenting. Yeah, I got nervous, guys.
That's all right. Take two. It's okay. He's a pro.
Bam.
He's a
Love it.
pro.
Great job, Rob.
Thanks,
Yeah, that's
guys.
perfect.
Yeah.